In this video tutorial, I want to take a closer look at the information we get after a simulation from the tornado diagram. So I'm just continue with the schedule I previously made. And for this project, I've identified 4 risks. So if I run my or build my impacted risk plan, and I'm just going to focus on the pre-mitigated situation, and I built my plan. After I build my impacted plan, I'm going to run the simulation. I'm going to do 1,000 iterations, hit complete. And I want to look at duration. And for now, let's focus on the duration at 80%. So as we can see, the duration at 80% is 205 days. I'm just gonna hit OK. So if we go to the tornado chart after this iteration, I want to walk through all 4 or all 5 of these. So the first off is duration sensitivity. In other words, what's the correlation between the project duration and the duration of a specific task? So in this case, we're looking at the whole project, and we see what the correlation is between the individual tasks and the total duration of the project. Next is cost sensitivity. So again, it measures the correlation, the cost of a foundation to the cost of a single activity compared to the total cost of the project. Next, the criticality index is basically the percentage of simulations during which the task was on the critical path. Next, duration cruciality. This is basically multiplying the duration sensitivity times by the criticality index. Last is schedule sensitivity index, which can be calculated by taking the criticality index times by the activity standard deviation divided by the project standard deviation multiplied by 100. And this gives us the relative importance of an activity taking the criticality index into account. So let's go back to duration sensitivity. Right now it's showing tasks, but I can switch over to the risk view, and it gives me an overview or the tornado diagram of which risk impact our project the most in the pre-mitigated situation. And as we can see is that activity D has a 66% correlation, activity A 44, activity C 33, and activity B 20%. Now what we can't see from this is what is the total impact of each of these risks on our project, in this case in days, because we're looking at duration. Now there is a way to show that, but we have to run a couple of simulations to figure this out. So as you remember, when I ran the simulation in the pre-mitigated situation, I ended up with 205 days. I'm going to cancel out of this and going back to my register. And the way to figure out the individual impacts is when you build an impacted schedule. I'm just going to exclude one of the risks for each iteration. So for the first one, I'm just going to deselect risk A, build my impacted schedule, run the risk analysis again, then go to duration and look at my 80% value. And my 80% value for A activity A unselected, or risk A unselected, is 201 days. Let me hit OK, back to my register. Build an impacted schedule again, and this time I'm going to deselect risk B. Build the schedule again, run the simulation again. Go back to duration, and my 80% is also 201 day. And we repeat this step for activities C and D. So now I'm deselecting C, build the impacted schedule again, run my risk analysis again. Duration at 80% is 196 days. Back to the register. Build the impacted plan, excluding D. Run the simulation. Go back to duration, and we're at 191 days for risk D. So that tells me that the impact of risk A is 205 days minus 201, which is 4 days. The impact of risk B, same value, 205 minus 201 is 4 days. And the impact for risk C is 205 minus 196 equals 9 days. And the risk for, the impact of risk D is 205 minus 191, which gives me 16 days. So the sequence of impact, if we look at it this way, is therefore D, C, A, B, or BA, because A and B are the same. When I go back to my tornado diagram, I go to duration sensitivity, and I go to risks. I need to switch D back on. Let's go back to my risk register. Build the impacted plan, including D. Run the analysis. Then go to the tornado chart, duration sensitivity for risks. It gives me DACB, which is a different sequence than what I have, because when I looked at the impacts, the actual impact on the schedule for these risks, my sequence was DCAB. So you see there's a difference the way the software determines the duration sensitivity of these risks versus me running my simulation separately for each of these risks and determine the actual duration impact of my project. So it's just a way to show you how you can run several simulations, each time excluding one of the risks, and then thereby determining what the actual impact is of a risk on your project.